This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Andrew, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hey, thanks for having me, Frank.
A lot of exciting things going on over at MemberSuite. Congratulations. One of the things we're going to dive into, and I know our listeners will want to hear some of the details if you can share them with us. You guys recently raised $11 million in a Series B round. Even more important, it was led by Revolution Ventures, which, if I understand correctly, it's run by AOL founder Steve Case. What advice would you give to an Atlanta company seeking funding besides knowing Steve Case personally?
I think there's a lot of advice I give. First, thanks for the congratulations. It was definitely a long road, and when you choose a capital partner, you really look for somebody that can do more than just write a check. You look for somebody that has got the support, both internally helping you figure out some of the hard decisions on the road to growth, helping you hire, helping you acquire customers, help you to build a scalable business. And you're also looking for the investor that can really prepare you for the challenges ahead. And so Revolution is the kind of investor you want when you're a company at our stage. And so we're really grateful for their partnership. We think that was the right one, and we think we chose well there. I think the advice I would give is to be really diligent about your capital raise process. The market's changing. We're not in a frothy environment anymore where you can raise money easily based on very little. Really think through what you're raising capital for. A lot of companies that are otherwise healthy go out and raise capital because it's chic, but make sure you understand that there is a very big difference between a venture capital-backed company and a lifestyle business. And when you raise capital, you ought to be thinking about the next milestone that you're raising for. Are you raising to become profitable? Are you raising to have to raise more money? And if you have to raise more money, what should you accomplish before you have to raise more money so that you can sort of be dramatically more valuable than you are now? And is the capital you're raising enough to get you to that next step function in sort of incremental valuation? A lot of people don't think about capital raises like that. They just sort of think about it like somebody's going to give me, 7 figures, and that's how you run into problems because you're not adequately capitalized to sort of get to the next stage.
Well, I guess on the surface, you would assume associations and nonprofits maybe not so, as they quote-unquote say, sexy in terms or exciting as far as some of the other apps and other startup-type situations, and yet it's about, I'm guessing, size of market and the competitive situation. Go a little bit for our listeners into pretty much what you guys do and why it was unique enough that people at Revolution would take the commitment to give you guys $11 million.
Sure, and you definitely there definitely is the element of sexiness when you're a startup founder and thinking about what shows up on TechCrunch. And what I've learned, having done this for a while, is there are so many of these sexy companies and these sexy startups that don't get past the Series A round of funding because there's not enough there. What's sexy is 70, 80, 90% margins. What's sexy is 150% year-over-year growth. Everything else is sort of just window dressing and sizzle without the steak, and that's something that I've had to learn. I think from the standpoint of what we do is we provide a software to associations and nonprofits to manage all the various things that they do. And when you get to be a fairly large-sized organization, you do things like membership and dues renewal and dues management. You have a large conference that needs to be automated. You do fundraising campaigns and appeals. You have credentialing processes that are fairly non-trivial. And these are things you can't manage with Excel spreadsheets and Access databases. And we provide a service that lets associations and nonprofits manage them and also provide a front end where members can pay their dues online, event attendees can register and build their schedules, donors can donate online, certificates can credential online, and we provide that at a fairly low cost with a pretty rapid implementation. And I think Revolution understood the market, understood the opportunity in a way a lot of companies, a lot of venture capital firms don't, because it is sort of a unique space and a unique vertical, and they saw the opportunity for disruption here by a well-capitalized company, and I think that's one of the things that made them a really great fit for us.
I'm going to go into some of your growth plans, but before we do that, in a segue to what we're now talking about and staying with the fact that you're providing Some pretty insightful advice. Let me go ahead and ask you some more in that. And this time, let's talk about associations. What advice would you give an association that's looking to, say, get their operations and improve membership engagement up to the current dynamic economy that all of these organizations have to live and survive and sustain in?
I would say start by buying our software.
Right, that's good. Good answer.
But I think seriously, there's a revolution going on in the way that computing is being consumed. When I was growing up, you consumed computing through the Commodore 64 or the Atari 800 on your desktop. Now we consume computing through our phones, through huge cloud services, through our iPads, even through our TVs, our refrigerators, and our watches. And this has an enormous impact on the way that software is delivered and the cost to acquire and to really derive value from software. And if you are a nonprofit and association and you're still sitting running software on your local desktop, you're not taking advantage of rapid innovation that a cloud product provides, you're not taking advantage of analytics and insights that underlie the data that you collect on a regular basis, then you are missing an opportunity to service your members and your stakeholders. And I think you should take that seriously, because the dollars for sponsorship and donations are finite, and in a manner of speaking, you're competing for those. And to the extent that you're not efficiently running your organization, that's a problem. And I think the first step would be looking at your data and saying, how can we serve our members better? And that's almost always going to be in the form of a self-service application where members can interact with you without having to pick up a phone or without having to go through a laborious process to achieve trivial tasks.
Okay, so I am an association, nonprofit. I'm obviously ending my year, and I'm taking a look at planning for 2017. You've gone into a little bit from an overview standpoint. Get a little granular in terms of just exactly what kind of technology decisions would associations or nonprofits be making in terms of getting ready for next year?
Well, definitely their underlying member database, and I think the way associations are thinking about it is, how can I leverage technology to better serve my members? I mean, that's how an association should be thinking. Every decision should be made with an eye towards a better experience and more value to the membership, because that is their mission, to serve their members. And so they should be looking at their processes and looking at the member experience and asking themselves if it's where it should be. And every association has to ask themselves that differently. So if you're an association where your members are geographically spread out and have to, say you're a parachuting association and members have to show up in a rural drop zone in Nevada and decide whether they can jump out of a plane or not, what's the experience like? Does that wait take half an hour? Do they often show up and find that their information is out of date because that drop zone is not connected to the internet? These are questions you have to ask yourself, and to the extent that you can offer a better experience to your members, you should invest in that where it makes sense. I think the second question you have to ask yourself is, how much and how well do I understand my members? So how am I leveraging the data that I collect to know what my members want and what they will do? Because the more I understand them, the better I can service them. I think when you look at your technology purchases, those are the two axes which you would want to really kind of spin your technology decisions off of. And I think when you look at that, you're going to be looking at a new solution for member and conference management, and you're going to be looking at an analytics solution that really kind of thrusts you into sort of the modern era of cloud computing.
Okay, so obviously you guys are in I'm going to say, a pretty good position, unique market, strong vertical, and a lot of opportunity, not so much competition, although I'm sure there's plenty out there and are formidable. Let's talk a little bit about one, technology trends that you're following as you grow MemberSuite, but maybe get into a little bit about the growth plans themselves, and obviously how's the funding going to help you achieve the goals?
Well, it allows us to make key investments, particularly in R&D. We see opportunities to serve associations in ways that haven't been done before. And I think a lot of that is because a lot of our competitors have grown. In fact, almost all of our competitors have grown in a bootstrap way. And when you're bootstrapping, it's really hard to make future investments in R&D. And a SaaS multi-tenant software as a service application is sort of the ultimate technology investment. You have to spend a lot of money on that before you get a dollar back. And so by being able to invest in that and being able to provide sort of a superior experience to our customers, we can leapfrog all of our competition and continue to innovate. I think that's a big deal. I think also sales and marketing, right? So being able to put boots on the ground and be more proactive about visiting prospects and be more complete about demonstrating the value of our product is all something that capital allows us to do. And I think those are the priorities for deployment of capital.
And technology trends, what are the ones that you think that you could highlight a little bit that you'll be following as you grow the MemberSuite?
I think the biggest is analytics, what we call the data-driven association, making decisions in your association based on data and not based on gut feel. An association is no different than any other organization. At the top, all you're doing every day long is making decisions. Where should we hold this next conference? Should we cut this program or this program? Is this particular membership the right price, or should we increase the price? When you make decisions based on gut and you have no means to understand whether or not that decision was the right one or not, you're flying in the blind. And associations, more than most, collect so much data. They have information about all of their members with deep demographics. They have information about what their members do, what committees they're on, what volunteer activities they participate in, what events they go to, even how often they visit their website and participate in different drives and campaigns. If there's no way to leverage all of that information to yield insight into your membership, you're really missing a huge opportunity to understand what your members are doing and how to better serve them. And I think the market's just beginning to understand that and start to expect that from technology partners. Okay,
well, it's pretty impressive. There's just no two ways about it. Obviously, the recognition you've got is a validation of a proof of concept. The money is going to be at a perfect time with, I think, a tsunami growing in terms of the economy, especially for next year. I got to say, Andrew, you're extremely accomplished already, but it looks like the promise for 2017 is pretty aggressive. And in that, facing the holiday season and also the opportunities of the new year, thanks a lot for taking time out of what I'm sure is an extremely busy schedule to join us for a couple of minutes today and give our listeners a little insight into MemberSuite.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Frank. It was great talking to you today.